Hey everyone, I'm Bryan and you're watching Game Brigade, and today I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about the games that I'm most anticipated for 2022. So we're going to be talking about 10 games, some retail, some crowdfunding, and kind of see which games I am most anticipating for a whole litany of reasons. And I think it'd be kind of interesting if you guys kind of guess the type of games that I like, because this might give you an idea of kind of my style of gaming. So let's go ahead and we're going to use this button and kick over to the first one. So Stars of Icarus. This when did this? I don't know if it really matters when these things funded, but this was in April 10th, 2020. So this has been a ways coming now, and I believe it's on the boat. And Stars of Icarus originally was called Stars of Icarus, but now it's called Starlight actually. So we'll make sure we put that in the timestamps. Starlight is a game that really excited me because it introduced a mechanic at the time that I backed this that I was really into, as well as a really cool narrative story-driven game. So let's talk about that. So the first thing is you have this battle board, this space board, and the game uses like a real-time, not real time in the sense that everyone's playing at the same time, but a game kind of like a X-Wing miniatures. And that's actually what I played at the time I backed this, was a lot of X-Wing miniatures, where you are going to be basically dogfighting these other board pieces on the board using abilities and cards and whatnot. And you'll actually be upgrading your ships through this. So that's one aspect of the game. And that could be cool by itself as a standalone, although I'd probably play X-Wing if that was it. But what else interested me about this game, and it's probably going to be hard, it's going to be a lot of scrolling to find it, is it has a exploration aspect of the game where players will be exploring space, triggering different types of scenarios as you look around. So let me see. So here's an example. So you have your ship. You're going to draw from this exploration deck and kind of move around, and these will trigger different things in the book, the narrative book. And then you have locations that you can go to. So like, for example, this is a really awful looking GIF. It's like really awful, but it gives an example. So now the person's actually on land and they get to explore and continue their story in a on land, or potentially maybe in a spaceship or in a space station. I love the idea of this exploration game with supposedly a pretty good story wrapped around it, but then also will have a competitive like feeling of a competitive dogfighting component. So this was Starlight. I do believe this is on the boat, so hopefully this will be here very soon and I can actually get a review for you guys as soon as I can. So there we go. Coming in at number 9 is Monumental. And again, another one from early 2020, and I backed this one mostly looking for the civilization experience. I really wanted a civilization game. Plus, this one wraps in deck building with it. And I love deck building. It's one of my favorite mechanics. I love really playing cards, strategizing, building your deck as you try to form the best civilization or whatever you're trying to do. In this one, obviously, a civilization. These guys, now who created this game? Because they made a fatal flaw with their design, unfortunately, with this Funforge. Funforge made a fatal flaw where they released this game as a miniatures only game, if I remember right. This has been 2 years now, but I remember they do, I believe, miniatures only, and a lot of people complained because the original game that they did had a tokens or standee version. So what they did is, I don't know if you guys can see this, they had additional pledges. So they decided to add those additional types of games. I believe they call it this classic pledge. And so what they did is this classic pledge. And so you can see here is this one, 120 backers back this game. And so that is actually for this expansion. This Kickstarter, only 120 people decide to actually back it, which is just a waste of SKUs. It makes it more difficult for the company to create this game in the manufacturing, because you have to have all these different types of SKUs for every type of box you're going to be doing. But not only that, they did Lost Kingdoms, which was the second expansion, 5 backers. Like 5 people decided, yeah, I want in on this cardboard token thing. And then we go down here. They have another one. This is the main one, but this is for the minis. Almost 2,000 backers, and that's where most of your customers are at. They're in here with the minis. And then we have the core game. This is for core classic, so core cardboard. 73 backers. And then here's standard. I mean, this is also kind of a waste. This is just Lost Kingdoms. 26 backers. So look at all these pledge levels they have. They have so many freaking stupid pledge levels. No wonder it's taking these guys so long, because they have to sit here and figure out how to do all this logistics and back end manufacturing for 5 people, 20 people. It's a pain in the ass, probably costing them a lot of money. And so here we are still waiting, and this funded in July 5th, 2020. So again, coming up on 2 years for Monumental. But again, I'm still super excited. Monumental has had some mixed reviews of the original one in terms of if it's worth a collection spot. I'm still holding out hope, because I really, really like Civilization games, and I'm hoping that this one fits the need. Unfortunately, remember I talked about in several of my other videos, having that itch that you're trying to fulfill. In the meantime, I picked up Clash of Cultures, which is right there, to kind of fill that Civilization need. So that's the problem when you have these Kickstarters that take so freaking long to fulfill that you might not be able to actually get the game that you're wanting or whatever. So the next one, this is a retail game, War of the Ring, Kings of Middle-earth. And this is going to be the 3rd expansion for War of the Ring, 2nd edition, and I'm super excited for this one. This one's obviously going to be focusing on some of these kings here that were very prominent in the Lord of the Rings story, Theoden and whatnot. And so you're going to have these kings with their abilities in play. It's also going to be focusing more on the combat aspect of War of the Ring. Combat is always kind of like it's involved in the game, but you know the free people can't really focus on combat because they're not going to win it overall. So this is going to have a little bit more strategy involved in that, specifically siege battles, and it's also going to give the shadow player a little bit more characters and nuances, so they have some more strategies as well to compete with these kings now that are being added for the free people. So I'm super excited about this one. No information in terms of a release other than 2022. So I'm excited to add this one to my collection. Very, very, War of the Ring is such a freaking good game. Oh, here, we're way down here in the bottom of the campaign. The Witcher Old World, this is one that I am definitely still waiting on, still excited for. And I was actually on my vacation when this came to Kickstarter, so I didn't get to do much coverage for it during its actual campaign. But this is basically an adventure game where you're going to be a Witcher from one of the 5 schools of Witcher. So Manticore, Wolf, Bear, Cat, etc. And you are basically going to be leveling up your Witcher, taking up different skills in terms of your potions, sword combat, your sign combat, etc. And you're going to be deck building your deck as you go around hunting different types of monsters. So here we have all the different monsters. I really like Witcher. I'm still grinding through Witcher 3 right now. I'm almost done with it, I'm fairly positive. And really excited for this one, although it does feel a bit like a game kind of similar to Fallout. So we'll see how good it is overall. But I'm a big fan of the IP, and I'm sold on that alone. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it. So Witcher 3, Witcher the Old World, and I believe this takes place prior to Geralt, so Geralt's not a character in this game, but obviously you have the School of the Wolf, which is Geralt's school. So if you want to play pseudo Geralt, you can. Next we have Six Siege. I hate the name Six Siege, the board game, but it's I would call it Rainbow Six Siege, but they want to call it Six Siege. This game is basically, for me, I play Six Siege. I enjoy this game quite a bit, the PC game, and I am just so impressed with how well Mythic has done in terms of their campaign in bringing the characters to life and showing their unique skills that each operator has. into a board game form. I did a very in-depth should you back for this game. Unfortunately, didn't get as many views as I thought it would, but it was a very, very in-depth coverage where I basically broke down what these operators do in game, and alternatively what their skills do in the board game, so in PC game and board game. And I was very impressed with how well they correlated with each other. I'm really interested in this game. I don't play very many skirmish games much anymore. I think it would be interesting to get that to the table with my group. And I'm hoping this will encourage that. I did go all in on this one. It's going to have a freaking ton of operators because Rainbow Six has a ton of operators. But I'm super excited to actually get to the board and play it. The next one is Primal, and Primal is a boss battler. I really like boss battlers. I think they're one of the most interesting types of board games out there in terms of the strategy that you have to envelop. And Primal basically takes a deck building, again, another format that I like, where players are going to be trying to take out these monsters. Now, Primal definitely took on and basically said, we're just going to give you these gigantic, stupidly large minis that are incredible looking, and you're going to kill them. But the big complaint that a lot of people had was the board type. So here in the middle of the screen, you can see the board. This is all it is. It's just a big pie circle with the monster put in the middle, and players are going to be going around in these quadrants to attack a region. And then the monster will have cards that will dictate where it's going to attack. So, for example, the stance card, he will attack, I believe I would read this as these two quadrants. And so anyone that would be in those quadrants would be attacked. And basically, you're going to try to defeat the monster. Now, some of the changes they had introduced in the campaign was the terrain affecting the gameplay and utilizing the strategy of the environment. And I'm super excited to actually see how this game finally develops. And basically, I'm going to have a lot of boss battlers. I want to see how Primal situates itself in that realm. So the next one's kind of being a bonus one. So we're going to do a 2-for-1 here, and that's Tanares Adventures Arena of the Contest 1.5. So officially this is actually 3 games in one because we're also going to be triggering Tanares RPG 5e. So Arena of the Contest, original is a dungeon crawler, kind of a classic feeling dungeon crawler, but also focused on an ability to have the players have PvP combat if you wanted to try that. Wasn't really interested in me for the PvP combat, but when they released the Tanares Adventures, they basically said, we're going to really build out the world and create this universe and this really enriching deep storyline through this dungeon crawl, and that had me super excited. And then they tagged up a 5e RPG, and I've been kind of talking about how I'm interested in doing an RPG. I'm kind of interested in this kind of world, and so I was down on this as well. So all 3 of these games, you have Arena of the Contest, the core game, Tanares Adventures, as well as Tanares RPG. I'm kind of going to all lump them all together because I'm super excited for all 3 of them, mostly for the storyline. The biggest thing with this one is the storyline is going to be big. And as you see, as we get a little deeper into this list, that there's going to be a conflicting in terms of the time commitment to get some of these games played. But I really like dungeon crawlers. It's one of my favorite types of gameplay mechanic, like styles. And I'm hoping that this one lives up to the hype that I've been living in my head for so freaking long. Because I feel like this one, maybe 2020, again, another one from 2020, February 27th, 2020. So again, early 2020. Actually, just right around the time I started my channel. And really, really hoping that I can hopefully get this going soon. The next one, we're always midway down these pages because I was refreshing stuff. So this one is Chronicles of Drunagor, Age of Darkness, Apocalypse. Chronicles of Drunagor is another game, dungeon crawler, story game, where I really enjoyed the first one. This is an expansion, which is really going to bring out even more storyline components, really focusing on the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse with this one, and also including a lot more characters for the players to play and upgrade paths for those characters. So this one, Alternatively to, I haven't played Tanares, so I don't know exactly how Tanares is going to play, but I have played Chronicles of Drunagor, and in Chronicles, players have a list of abilities that their character can use. You use them, you're going to be exhausting some of them, but you're also going to be potentially upgrading some of those abilities. I really wish they would have a way down here. So you have these abilities, you have these black cubes that will eventually lock them up. And then as you're exploring the dungeon, you actually will have these books, and you scan the book. You can scan the book if you wish to give you a random list, or you open the book, it gives you a story of what you're going to see, and then you build out your board from there. So it kind of adds a replayability because they could be multiple door 1s or door 15s, whatever you're going to do. So super excited for this one. Can't wait to actually get a chance to play it. Oh, the other thing with this one is it has this book, and you have these sections where you're going to reach, and it's going to give you a little bit of story detail, and you have to make a selection as a group of what you want to do, and your selection can change the story narrative. So I think that's kind of cool. Again, another very heavy, deep narrative campaign. We have put off playing Chronicles of Drunagor completely until the new campaign comes through, because we just kind of want to play all of it all at once. We just want to jam everything out. So this one's been on hold in my collection until, and in fact, I ordered the all-in, so I need to sell my base copy Chronicles of Drunagor because I'm gonna have 2 of them, unfortunately. But whatever. So that's this guy. So coming in at number 2 is Aeon Trespass Odyssey. And this is one that I actually late pledged because I wasn't sure at the time that I wanted it. But after looking at the campaign, diving into it, I really was getting very excited. Again, I feel like I late pledged this almost a year and a half ago. It's been quite a while. And this is the surprise Kickstarter of 2019. So it has definitely lived its past. I think it's very close to becoming fulfilled. And in this one, it's another boss battler, but they're going to have a lot more story elements going on this one. And what I like about this one is it's going to have very interesting decision-making processes that the players are going to have to go through, and potentially can make for hard decisions. Like, you're not going to want to make it because the impact it's going to imply on your game, and that's going to be a narrative for the next game as well. This is another boss battler where players will be taking control of a 30-foot titan as they fight against these primordials, and the primordials will also get stronger as the battles go on, but also as the campaign goes on. I'm very excited for this one overall. Again, it's been so freaking long, and I haven't had a chance to actually play it to really give you guys more detailed information about it, but I'm definitely, it's one that I feel like Into the Unknown has a hit here, and I just really want to get to the board. And my number 1 most anticipated game has got to be Oathsworn, Into the Deepwood. This game just looks so freaking good for players who like boss battlers, but also that grim, dark narrative campaign. That's what this guy has. This one also has a lot of hidden unlocks. So the players are going to be going on a hunt, trying to uncover a monster that might be problematic, and so you're going to be uncovering the story and things that you involve in the story. You might run into people that can join your company, but having people join your company could effectively cause issues later down the road, or not having those people join your company could cause issues, or positive issues. It could be positive or negative. You don't know. And again, you actually don't know what you're fighting until you uncover more clues, and maybe you get an idea of what you're actually going to be fighting. And then everything is hidden inside these boxes, and so you're not going to know what it is really until you open the box and kind of get surprised. You know, it's kind of like that legacy element. I mean, you can even see here they're hiding all of the stuff, so we really don't get a great idea of all the campaign. And this one, for as much was hidden, and for a first-time publisher, definitely has nailed it out of the park with all of their content. And I think this will probably be one of the best games of 2022. I mean, officially 2020, I believe, is when this launched. 2019, man, look at that. November 5th, 2019. Well, I think it's going to be one of the best games. Super excited for it. I have played this one. It's got a push your luck combat system style where players will be either drawing cards from these cards or rolling dice. and you're gonna have, and it doesn't tell you the limit. Like most of the time, a game will be like, you roll 2 red dice and a yellow, you add your dice. Well, you can be like, you know what, I'm gonna add a bunch. I wanna push my luck. But if you get so many blanks, then you miss. So very interesting combat style. The only thing with this one that I believe this is still accurate, is you have to have 4 characters in play at one time, and they have an AI system to assist with that if you want to play like solo. So we'll see how good that is. I again haven't played that portion of it. I have played this game where I two-handed it. So we played 2 players, each was playing 2 heroes. I very much enjoyed it. Basically did a boss battler. The other thing with this one is that you're targeting specific regions of an animal or a creature or whatever you're fighting. So the tail, the body, the head, the feet. So you're going to be targeting things to try to damage it, and the monster will react basically how you're combating it, which I think is pretty interesting. So that is going to wrap up my 10 games that I'm personally most interested in for 2022. 9 of these are unfortunately crowdfunding, with 1 being retail. So it's going to be more difficult for people. But if you are interested in these games, I'm sure late pledges are available. This is a unsponsored video, if you're wondering. But none of these people know that I'm making this content, doing this because I want to share the games that I am most interested in. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you all very soon.